Well, this is really good news. 2 days later, and still there's a lineup to see this Cybertruck in Toronto. That's great. Gary Black just called out Sandy Munro. I will play this clip for you first.
Let's ask a question here, Ricky. Why does the media hate Tesla and Elon Musk? How much does Elon Musk spend on the media?
Advertising?
Nothing. And if you don't give them a bribe, you don't get any good press. Why do you think that the dealerships are never thrown under the bus? Watch your TV tonight. Look at how many times you see a dealership ad or whatever, and how many times you see something about, well, those dealerships are really crap. You'll never see it.
Gary says such naivete about how the media works, lack of ad spending is not why Tesla media coverage is negative. People who argue this have never worked in the media. No self-respecting journalist or news editor is going to take orders from an ad man. I don't think there are that many self-respecting journalists left. Tesla's lack of effort in shaping the narrative is the issue. Like all things in life, success is a function of effort. Like lack of effort to respect yourself as a journalist would be one example. I like being objective, and there is almost always more to the story, and there is more. Gary does make one good point here. For those who believe in some big mainstream media conspiracy to trash Tesla because they do not advertise, answer this. Why are some reporters on a platform positive toward Tesla? For example, Alan Root is fairly positive about Tesla. Brian on CNBC, while others on the same platform are negative. Did Al Root and Sully not get the memo to trash Tesla because they do not advertise? I 100% agree that putting Tesla in a headline gets clicks, but it's not because Tesla does not advertise. Here's a new piece from the self-respecting Wall Street Journal. Elon Musk has used illegal drugs, worrying leaders at Tesla and SpaceX. Some executives and board members fear the billionaire's use of drugs, including LSD, cocaine, ecstasy, mushrooms, and ketamine, could harm his companies. And Elon says after that one puff with Joe Rogan, I agreed at NASA's request to do 3 years of random drug testing. Not even trace quantities were found of any drugs or alcohol. Wall Street Journal is not fit to line a parrot cage for a bird. The article makes the Joe Rogan experience with Elon Musk sound like it's somehow news today, that it was, I don't know, they're telling it like no one has ever heard of it. To me, it appears the more Elon Musk talks about politics, for example, he was just talking about immigration, the more of these weird stories just start coming out of nowhere that are largely built around narratives that happened a long time ago. And here's another new hit piece. Elon Musk's drug use was so concerning it prompted the Tesla director to forego a re-election bid, Wall Street Journal reports. This was just published yesterday night. Linda Johnson Rice, who served a 2-year term on the company's board ending in 2019, confided in Tesla board members on more than one occasion about her worries related to his substance use, the journal reported. Rice also informally asked if the board should investigate Musk's drug use, which includes ketamine, LSD, cocaine, and ecstasy, according to people familiar with the matter, supposedly. But her concerns were ignored, per the outlet. The extensive report from the journal details how executives across Musk's companies have grappled with how to manage his drug use and erratic public appearances and statements. At Tesla, some current directors have sought out help from Musk's brother, Kimball, over his behavior, but the journal reported they have been careful not to use the word drugs when relaying their concerns. Elon has that demon mode that Walter Isaacson writes about. So could you even differentiate between the two? Maybe you can suspect something, but Elon has the demon mode. According to the outlet, others have speculated the billionaire businessman was under the influence when he tweeted in 2018 that he had funding secured to take the car company private at $420 per share. Now this one here is another Business Insider article from September. Elon Musk said, I had to be subjected to random drug tests for a couple of years. Fortunately, I really don't like doing illegal drugs. This is from one of the interviews with Walter Isaacson that Musk did when Isaacson was writing his book. I assume this quote is 100% correct because Walter Isaacson, I think he has been pretty fair. And from this, what I can say is if you, for example, I have never taken any illegal drugs ever. So I would never say I don't like taking illegal drugs because I have never taken them. So I wouldn't really know. What I can tell you is that I have never taken them and I'm not planning to take them. So the language that you would use if you have never taken them is probably going to be a bit different compared to if you have already taken them before, but now you found out, oh, you don't like them. And Elon specifically said, I really don't like doing illegal drugs. To me, that sounds like he's speaking from experience. But also Elon Musk is not exactly a great communicator, so maybe he just misspoke, but I give that a small chance. My guess is Elon has taken all of these things probably at least once and maybe some of these multiple times. But we know that Elon has been vigorously tested because SpaceX has government contracts and therefore Elon had to be tested to keep these government contracts, and no drugs were found in his blood. So I really don't think Elon has a problem. And if anything, we can certainly make this argument too. Wow, so you're telling me that not only did this guy sell more EVs than any other automaker on Earth in 2023, launch 80% of payload to orbit, but he did it while on LSD, cocaine, ecstasy, and ketamine? Just when you thought the guy couldn't get more impressive, it gets more impressive. What a dumb smear job, says Omar. There's this interesting paragraph from the Wall Street Journal article. At Tesla, Denholm, the current board chair, James Murdoch, and other directors sometimes gathered around Kimball Musk informally during board breaks or after meetings to ask how Elon Musk was doing or if he was getting enough sleep, people familiar with the conversation said. While the directors wouldn't specifically ask about substance abuse, the people said they understood the questions to be about Elon Musk's perceived drug use. So, if lack of sleep indicates drug abuse, I know so many drug addicts then. And probably, based on this definition, statistically speaking, you could be a drug addict too. At least on days when you don't sleep well. And today I actually had really terrible sleep. But I'm not on anything except the greens, the athletic ones. In response to these accusations, Elon Musk said that this thread is comedy gold. The main thing for me is, how come they are talking about things that happened such a long time ago? They should be talking about things that are happening right now. Supposedly, people close to Elon Musk told Wall Street Journal that his drug use is ongoing and that in particular he's consuming ketamine. Musk said in August of this year, I believe, he has a prescription to use the drug as an antidepressant. So when they say Elon is taking drugs, what they really mean is that Elon is taking a prescribed medication. Despite being personally attacked, Elon Musk continues talking about political topics. He points out that this is insane. Elon is probably also not helping himself when he's growing X because that takes away eyeballs from traditional media, and Elon thinks they will stop at nothing to destroy X. Troy now has an estimate that shows us how many vehicles Tesla delivered in the US, and Tesla does not let us know how many vehicles it delivered in the US, so we have to figure it out ourselves. Near the end of Q4, it seemed Tesla might deliver more cars in China than in the US, but latest data shows that did not happen. In China, demand for Model Y is high, and you can see that in China, Tesla delivered 172,000 vehicles. In the US, Tesla delivered 177,800 in Q4. So still, we are delivering more cars in the US. James says this is juicy, and Chuck says this is a great update and it's good content, so let's check this out. This is all going to be about FSD version 12. We are pleased to share that as of this weekend, Tesla has begun internal testing of Actually Smart Summon on company-owned vehicles based on V12 end-to-end architecture. In late November, we saw the first iteration of V12 go from internal development builds to the first employees within the company, so mostly executives. A little under a month later, on December 21st, V12.1 expanded to include team leads and managers across North America. Just a week later, we saw V12.1 expand into Wave 1, Tesla's early access program for employee-owned vehicles. Seems like this account has some insider sources because they are saying that as long as we get a bigger wave of FSD version 12.1 released to some of these employees, we should have FSD version 12 released to the public before the earnings call. And indeed, we have seen that Wave 1 deployment earlier. So it is expected that we will have FSD version 12, all of us perhaps, before the earnings call, which would be within the next 1 or 2 weeks roughly. The earnings call is on January 24th. And if you compare V11 to V12, V12 is rolling out faster so far. Based on what's happening here, it's a difference of almost 3 months. Since the initial release of V12, we have received at least a dozen reviews and feedback from employees, which we have summarized below. 72% expressed improvements in human-like behavior and general stability, 20% noted no change, 8% noted some worsened experiences, 40% expressed improvements with roundabouts, 50% noted no change, 10% noted some worsened experiences, 37% expressed improvements in lane keeping, 60% noted no change, 3% noted some worsened experiences, so clearly it's getting better. For transparency purposes, all employees included in the results above reside in California. Tesla Scope also says that we are remaining hopeful for the release of V12 in late January, so not before the earnings call. I guess it would be after the earnings call then. Also, they say there's a likely chance of Actually Smart Summon slipping into the later end of Q1. But looking at these numbers, while clearly there's progress, it doesn't seem that everyone noticed only improved experiences. Some had worsened experiences. I think if you want to have Actually Smart Summon, it means it has to work almost perfectly, pretty much perfectly, every single time. And it cannot have any issues where you're going to be worried. So I think for Actually Smart Summon to actually be useful to people, we would have to see no noticeable changes in terms of people still reporting, this new version is worse than the previous one. These numbers, I think, would have to be pretty much at 0. That's my personal guess. I hope I'm wrong about this one, but I wouldn't keep my hopes up for Actually Smart Summon. My guess is that after this Actually Smart Summon, we are going to have another version of Actually, for real, Smart Summon. Another thing that's very important to point out is, even though some of these numbers are not super high, for example, 40% expressed improvements with roundabouts, which means 50% saw no change and 10% noted some worsened experiences, I would ideally like to see something like 99% of the people express improvements with roundabouts. Then it's absolutely obvious the new version is much better. But remember, these are all people in California, and in California, FSD in many places is already really good. So if it's already driving really well, and you drive on FSD all the time because it's just so good already, yeah, how can you notice that it gotten even better if it's already really good? So if these reviews were coming from people outside of California and outside of Austin, then I think that data would be much more valuable. I think this data is but keep in mind, this is still it's not even beta. It's just it's a beta of the beta because it's only released to the employees. So we want to be really careful about how we evaluate this report here. There's a rumor that Tesla is about to launch FSD in China. James says, I think this is a pretty good signal of progress because China and the Chinese consumer doesn't put up with crap. FSD take rate is close to zero in China. The software must be working pretty well for Tesla to launch it there. A big YouTuber just posted a Cybertruck video, so that's good. That's definitely getting some more exposure for Tesla. And the Cybertruck is growing on many people. Check this clip out.
Yeah. No, when I saw this ugly thing parked here, I thought, wow, that looks kind of very odd, and you know, it's what I saw when they unveiled it. And then every day it's grown on me, and I really like it now.
Really? Just since we've been here, it's grown on you?
Yes, yes. Well, the first time I saw it, I'm like, wow, that thing is kind of monstrous. Something about it that was very intriguing, and then I'm like, I sort of like that. Yeah,
I agree 100%.
Here's a Cybertruck rolling through the farmer's market in Los Angeles, and some people are looking at the Cybertruck, taking pictures. None of this is actually necessary at all. She's pouring hot water on the windshield, which is actually not safe. You can shatter your windows if you do that with water that's hot enough, and I think she's scratching the car with that shovel. You don't need to do that. What you do is you open your phone and then you just turn on heating inside the vehicle. Just turn up the heat to max and your vehicle will probably be ready to drive in maybe 5 or so minutes. Look at how cool these LED lights look in the Cybertruck. It almost seems like you could just park it in a garage without any light, turn on the LED lights, put some plants in there, and these plants will be able to grow just fine just because of the lights. Some Tesla bears maybe will claim, oh, these are weed plants, specifically for Elon, for his drug addiction. Farzad made a quick comment on the Wall Street Journal story. Legacy media is not concerned with truth. It's all about clickbait to drive eyeballs to ads on their sites, which generate dollars for the publications. I think that's generally right, but I think there's more to it. I think there's also a political lens on top of this, which means they can actually lose money. And if a certain person that really wants to push a certain political agenda owns the publication, are they really concerned about making lots of money, or are they more concerned about changing the public opinion of someone or something? I mean, Elon Musk is a big enemy of some political figure, so I think it's not that simple. But overall, I think Farzad definitely has a very good point here. Oh, Honda is considering building a $14 billion EV plant in Canada that could possibly include in-house production of batteries. Now, how about Toyota? How come Toyota is not making plans like that? And of course, as a Canadian, I welcome all of this money and manufacturing plans from Honda. Speaking of Toyota, Toyota sold a total of 5,718 battery EVs in the US in Q4. This means that pure EVs made up less than 1% of their overall car sales. BMW, if I recall correctly, is over 10%. Toyota is still at less than 1%. He can supposedly make a coffee.
I figure one. Can you make me a cup of coffee?
Supposedly, this is end-to-end AI. Our neural networks are taking video in and trajectories out. All right. So it's not really programmed. It just got fed a lot of data and then it learned to do this, supposedly. Okay. So you see coffee coming out.
Thanks.
We're gonna do a bit of voiceover. It's actually self-correcting, so that's pretty cool. Now, what would have been a lot more impressive is if the robot actually brought the coffee maker and actually put that coffee cup into that coffee machine. But I mean, this is already pretty interesting. Progress certainly is accelerating, and we will see a lot more impressive things like this. I think there will be huge opportunities, and there's of course going to be a lot of money in the hardware, which Tesla is probably going to be by far the very best at, because Tesla is making everything from scratch. Everything is custom made. and Tesla has so much expertise because of EVs. But there's going to be probably even more money to be made from creating apps and skills that you install into your robot, and then the robot learns to do new things. Like make coffee using this particular coffee machine. There's going to be another wave of millionaires, decamillionaires, from making apps for these robots, just like exactly what we had with people making money from the App Store. Like and subscribe if you haven't yet, and later today I will be publishing an exclusive video on the Clips channel, so go ahead and subscribe to that one if you haven't yet. The link is down below in the description.